Hello, hello, hello. I do believe I am live for a character creation session of They Came From Classified, which I believe you should be able to see up on your screen right now. That's it, you can see a character sheet for They Came From Classified. That's good, that means it's working. First and foremost, thank you very much for tuning in. If you are in the UK right now, thank you very much for tuning in at this late hour. And likewise for the rest of Europe. If you're in America, well, I hope you're having a very pleasant afternoon, evening, and hopefully this will be an enjoyable character creation session. Now, you may not be aware of what They Came From Classified is, so let me paint a picture before we start. If you're a fan of espionage movies, media, TV shows, video games, you will like They Came From Classified. Where do they come from? Well, I'm afraid that's Classified. In Classified, you play as agents who work for the agency, and you will take down rogues and villains and masterminds and their henchpeople who are trying to take over the world, destroy various things that relate to our way of life, try and, I guess, pursue super science of malevolent design, and it pulls a great deal from... Hello, Thea. It pulls a great deal from James Bond, from The Avengers, John Steed, Emma Peel, Tara King, etc. The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Champions, Get Smart, even some Austin Powers and Kingsman, because there's comedy to it as well. In all of the They Came From games, there is an air of comedy to them. And that's intentional. We like how They Came From games to be entertaining first and foremost. They are to be games that you enjoy. And speaking for myself as the developer of They Came From Classified, I can honestly say I think it's a very entertaining game. I think the writers did a fantastic job, and I think the art is wonderful. If you don't believe me, and even if you do believe me, and I'm going to mention this a few times, They Came From Classified is currently on Kickstarter. We are funding it. We have already hit our funding target, but there is more to go. We can fund more stretch goals, and that is in part why I'm making this video. This Kickstarter for Classified is in the video description below, and what would make my evening is if I saw that figure, the funding figure of They Came From Classified, change, even by one backer, during the course of this video. Even if it, well, obviously it's got to go up. If it goes down, I'll be very disappointed. So, as of time of recording, we have 387 backers. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that I would love it if by the time we get to the end of this character creation session, we have 388 backers, or 389 backers, maybe even 390 backers. So if you are watching this right now, and you are interested in They Came From Classified, please click on the Kickstarter link below. You can back for any amount of money. If you back for $5, you can view the entire manuscript, not only for this game, but also for They Came From the Cyclops' Cave, which I'll be doing a character creation session for next week. So with all that said, let's get into the character creation session. And I'll be revisiting that plea for you to help fund this game and stretch goals, future books, periodically, because of course I will. I want people to support the game I work on. I'm very proud of it. And thank you very much for tuning in, Alain, and Velvet TK. Velvet TK, a frequent flyer on the Gentleman Gamer YouTube channel, as well as the Onyx Path Twitch. Very much a dedicated viewer, Velvet TK. I appreciate it. I appreciate your viewership. But I appreciate the viewership of all of you. Especially you, Thea Vic. You turned up first, and that means you win something. I haven't decided what yet, but you win something. Maybe my respect. What that's worth, I don't know. Alright, so as a rule, the character creation sessions in They Came From only tend to take about 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes per character. We may take a little longer than that because, well, we'll be going through that piece by piece. Anyone who's already familiar with the character creation sessions for They Came From will know that it's a fast process, and I mean, at this point I'm pretty familiar with how that process goes. And thank you so much, Thea, for chipping in already contributed to the Kickstarter. I appreciate that more than you can say. Yeah, I've just seen that the backer numbers have gone up. See, it's like a, what do they call it? Americans do them, telethons, but via YouTube. So back, if you haven't backed already, back. Let's get that figure up to 390, maybe more by the end of this video. So, they came from Classified. I would love to hear, while I'm doing this, your favourite spy espionage media, the kinds of things you enjoy. Do you veer more towards the camp, Jason King, the Avengers, Austin Powers, or the serious, John le Carré, Sean Connery Bond, Daniel Craig Bond? I would be interested to hear your thoughts. So, let's have a look at this character sheet, shall we? So this is They Came From Classified's character sheet, made at short notice by the wonderful layout artist Mike Chaney, who doesn't get enough credit for all the fantastic work he does for Onyx Path, but, you know, incredibly talented fellow. And I said to Mike earlier this week, you know, what would be fantastic for this Kickstarter if we could get a character sheet put together early instead of waiting for the book, because some people will be backing the book at only $5, and they may want to get playing just using the manuscript. And what better than to provide them with a character sheet straight away? He agreed. He put together character sheets for this game and Cyclops' Cave. And if you're backing the Kickstarter and you go over to the updates, you can actually download this character sheet and start making characters yourself. So let's have a look at the kind of characters you can play in They Came From Classified. As with many of the They Came Froms, there are 5 archetypes. In Classified, your 5 archetypes are, and I'm going to be testing my own memory at this point, you have the Adventurer. The Adventurer is, I guess, the talented amateur is how Emma Peel used to be referred to as. Emma Peel, Tara King, Jason King, a lot of people with the surname King. People who don't necessarily work for the agency, but are on contract or are friends with an agent or tend to get themselves into trouble more often than not. The Adventurer is a very fun character to play as. They will often be, of course, tapped into the fashions of the 1960s, 70s era. They'll look very sharp. We also have the Detective. Now, the Detective will tend to work for lower-level law enforcement, more local authorities, cops, Columbo types, Kojak types, crime solvers. More likely to be down-to-earth, street-level, sucking on a lollipop or chewing a cigarette. Their gumshoes, they will have their collars up high, they'll be keeping to the shadows a little. I think the Detective is a really fun character as well. We have the Operative. The Operative is the I guess, archetypal spy character. The Hitman, the Prisoner. Most James Bonds would probably fall into the operative mould. We then have the Provocateur. Now, this is another type of James Bond character, I guess, but I realise I've been mentioning an awful lot of male characters, and provocateurs can, of course, as any of the archetypes can, span all the genders. And you may have a provocateur that is a, as they sometimes call them, a honey trap, whether man, woman, or other. And you could also have a provocateur that is a lounge singer that is trying to extract secrets from someone. You could have a provocateur who is, well, an Austin Powers type is probably a provocateur. In fact, Roger Moore as Bond is a provocateur. Maybe even the Saint, sticking to Roger Moore there. And then we have the Quartermaster. The Quartermaster is our 5th archetype, our technologist, our inventor, our gadgeteer. However, this Quartermaster, unlike Q in the movies, is quite happy to go out in the field. So more like Merlin in Kingsman than Desmond Llewellyn's Q in the old Bond movies. So let's see what the viewers are suggesting. Okay, so Thea leans more serious in terms of espionage features. That's interesting, Thea. Velvet Tea Cake prefers the campier, more tongue-in-cheek spy drama. Austin Powers' Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie. John Bartels would choose the Q-type character. So in terms of the character we're playing, that's the archetype you would like to go for. So before we get into which archetype we're going to play, let's do the good old-fashioned Monty Cook method, which we have adapted somewhat for They Came From, which is let's create a character who is an adjective, noun, who verbs. I'm quite happy to make a quartermaster, so let's go for one. We're going to make a quartermaster for this one. And the concept of this quartermaster, let's have a think, viewers. You're watching live, I want your input. An adjective, noun, who verbs. So I want the noun to be, I think it's going to be university professor. Okay. So maybe what's a good adjective for a university professor? Disgraced. Disgraced university professor who has been employed by the agency, who moonlights as a secret agent, who lives a double life. That could be fun, couldn't it? Any ideas you may have, viewers, by all means add into the chat. And I will say again, if you haven't backed They Came From Classified on Kickstarter yet, the link is right below, and I want to see the numbers going up during this video. It's already gone up by 1 because of the fantastic, lovely Theavic, who has already thrown in some backing, and I really do appreciate that. But if any more of you are happy to do that, and I see that number going up as this video takes place, wow, that will completely blow my mind. It will really make me go to bed happy. Velvet Tea Cake suggests that this is a disgraced university professor who accidentally let loose a gadget on the student populace. That is long-winded, but let's go with that. Who may be able to... there we go. Yeah. Who accidentally let loose a gadget on the student populace. See, I can just copy and paste what you're writing on YouTube. I've got that technology. Okay, so we know what we're playing. We've got an archetype. We've got a disgraced university professor who accidentally let loose a gadget on the student populace. Maybe this is going to be their first mission with the agency. And is absent-minded. Well, we'll think about that. So now we get... Let's go down to here now, shall we? Okay, down to paths. Good evening, Travis Legg. You may not have heard Travis, but do pass the word around. And I don't know if you've backed Classified yet. You certainly should have. But we are trying to get the numbers up during the course of this video. So live viewers... while we're watching, hell, if you're watching this pre-recorded, let's get those numbers up while we are making the stream. Let's make the stream worthwhile. Let's show support for They Came From Classified. I am really happy with this game, and I think you will be if you get a chance to play it. So Travis, spread the word. That's what we want. We want a sudden rush, a rush on the banks, as it were. So anyway, our archetype is Quartermaster. And we've already got some backers. The backer number has gone up, Travis. Origin. So our book comes with a set of origins, of course, as the They Came Froms always do. They always vary from all things from Blue Blood to Street Kid to... Well, let's see some of our options, actually, shall we? I think I've got my list of origins right here. I'll just open it up. So let's see some sample origin paths, shall we? An old hand, born for this, defector, stumbled into it, the greater mystery, the program, thrill seeker. All of those sound quite interesting. Thrill seeker is probably quite good. Or stumbled into it, I think, is probably more appropriate for this character because, as Velvet Tea Cake keeps suggesting, you'd have to be absent-minded to keep losing track of your gadgets. So let's go for stumbled into it. And cover identity. Cover is a path that has been created purely for Classified. As we know, hello and greetings to Denmark Fangs 1978. I should say hi, god aften, and what else? It's, I speak bad Danish, but I certainly try my best. Jeg elsker dansk. Jeg snakker in smuldansk. I think I've said that in pretty much every video where a Danish person has tuned in at some point. Yeah. Musky Snacker Duengas. It would certainly be easier if you do. Anyway, see, this is me doing my worst to show off my poor grasp of Danish. So I guess this would be... Oh, look, we've got even more people. Ah, well, Thea, you're Norwegian. The languages are so close. Danish and Norwegian, of course, closer than Danish and Swedish, or Norwegian and Swedish. Although, of course, all three share some similarities. And then you've got that odd Finland growth on the northeast. We also love you. Oh, well, I love you too. And I do love... I do love Denmark. I love all of the Nordic countries. What a utopia they are. Anyway. So. Cover is... well, actually, now that... Look at all these people are filing in at this point. I'm going to give everyone a mission, a special mission in a sec, after we choose cover identity, because this is going to be a fun bit. I mentioned, in each of the They Came Froms, you get a different ambition path. In Beneath the Sea, it's ambition. In Beyond the Grave, it's dark agenda. In Cyclops' Cave, it's quest. In Classified, it is cover. And you get to decide your cover identity, and you can change it from game to game if you want. But this cover is something you can do immediately. You may not be able to do it well, but you can do it immediately. So our disgraced university professor who accidentally let loose a gadget on the student populace, who also happens to be a quartermaster, needs a cover ID that is maybe not related to being a university professor. So this could be anything that's hobbyist. We can maybe tie this into a mission. Usually it's tied to a profession, like the cover ID could be a Michelin star chef, or a grungy mechanic, or a student, a foreign language student, Danish language student, because of all the espionage that goes on in Denmark. So let's think, viewers, what would be an interesting cover ID for our disgraced university professor? Toymaker, says Thea. I like it, Thea, and as you backed the Kickstarter while we're going for this, that is wonderful, because it also ties into being a quartermaster, an inventor, a gadgeteer, toy maker. That is a wonderful idea. We're going to go straight for that. For XCOM, XTX, wow, okay, that's a callback to 15 years ago and my YouTube channel when it was first starting. Did lots of XCOM Terror from the Deep Let's Plays, which influence They Came From Beneath the Sea, because when I was originally developing They Came From Beneath the Sea, before it was close to being a finished product, it was a very dry, serious aliens attacking from the seabed, XCOM Terror from the Deep style, and you were private military company mercenaries who had to stop them. It was a action-based, very heavily mechanical game, and obviously it's changed a great deal since then. So, right. So now that we've got all these people tuning in, now is my time for my request that I'm sorry I'm going to make it a few times, but this Kickstarter has been wonderful so far. We have already funded the books. It took about 3-4 days. And ultimately, that's all we want. If we can fund our books, we're happy. But I and my colleagues like to create more books. And I know that the fans of the They Came From line like to buy and play with more books. So what we want to do is get more people backing. And what that means for you, the viewer, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this pre-recorded, it's my hope. I really want to see the number of backers go up as this video goes on. I know that's telethon-like. I don't want to put any pressure on you. You don't have to back for much. You can back for $5 just to view the entire manuscript for They Came From Classified and They Came From the Cyclops' Cave. Right now, we have 388 backers on Kickstarter. Oh, no, sorry. Correct me. We're already on 390 backers on Kickstarter. All right, well, now we've upped the ante because we've gained 3 new backers since I started streaming. And I know it's a big ask because we're in the middle of the week. There's people who are in bed already. There are people who won't be watching this live. Can we get anywhere close to 400 by the time this video concludes. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't it be amazing to get a good double digits number of backers? I know I may be punching for the moon, but if you don't punch for the moon, you'll never reach the stars. As my drama teacher used to say. So, I never studied drama. Not really. Anyway. Right, so we've created the template for a disgraced university professor who accidentally let loose a gadget on the student populace. They became a quartermaster working for the agency. They stumbled into this role because of their error, being dismissed from the faculty, and their cover identity is as a toy maker, appropriately, because they're a quartermaster. Now, in They Came From, you get 4 skills that you associate with each path. So the book suggests certain skills to go with certain paths, and I always recommend players go with what they feel. You can go with the book if you're not confident, if this is your first time. All you need to do is look in the book, see what's suggested, pick the skills that go with that path, and away you go. I'm very familiar with They Came From for obvious reasons, so I feel like I can be a little more flexible than that. So I think the quartermaster, the natural skills that go with this quartermaster are probably going to be, well, let's think. University professor first and foremost. So I'm not going to go necessarily for all the obvious ones. Science makes sense, so that's an archetype one. I'm also going to go for command because he was a university professor, so presumably he had to hold court. Technology makes sense, but I'm going to go for technology of Toymaker Thea. I think also, what else? What else works for the university professor? Although I guess this could also be the stumbled into it side, the origin side. It's interesting. All right, let's go for technology. We'll do the right thing. And I think we will also say that, so our quartermaster is currently command, science, technology, and I reckon we are going to go for integrity. Thea, you're coming up with all the best ideas tonight. So there's a lot of intelligence coming out of Norway right now. So Origin has stumbled into it. So I think this has got to be a lot of skills that don't really relate to being a quartermaster. It's useful to do this, and I'll explain shortly why we're doing this, why we're having to choose. So we're going to go for O on culture, O on empathy. I think, let's see, what else could we do? Pilot. Always like driving cars around, and this is probably another hobby-like skill. I'm going to go for survival. Always like going out camping with the students, maybe. But maybe a scoutmaster. So now we've got cover, Toymaker. So we've already picked technology. And good job, Travis. Just added classified to your pledge. That's what I want to see. I want to see people backing not just for one book, but for 2 books if they want 2 books, but they can choose whichever of the 2 or both if they want, or neither, and back for $5 and access the manuscripts. That is an option. So now we go for cover identities, and as it's a cover ID, I'm going to go a little like larceny, because it's a lie. This isn't his true profession as a toy maker. And I'm going to mix that with persuasion, because he's trying to convince people he's a toy maker, and really this is a university professor. Can you imagine a sort of Walter White character who thinks he's at the top of his game, he's a genius in his field, and he's been relegated via cover identity to being a toy maker? Probably a bit grouchy with it. We're going to put humanities and enigmas in as well. So this character is definitely not a combatant. I think that is where they're going to fall short. So now that that's done, we get 3 skill points per path. You will notice we've assigned 4 skills per path, and we put 3 skill points across those 4. We could put 3 in one, 2 in one, and 1 in another, or 1, 1, 1 across 3. The point is, when you put additional dots in these paths with experience, you gain additional experience that you get to spend on the skills linked to that path. So if that, I'll explain it one more time. So let's say this person's a quartermaster. We've said that the quartermaster skills for this character are integrity, science, command, and technology. Right now, he'll have 3 dots to spread between them. When you put dots in that quartermaster path, you'll get more dots to spread around the skills linked to quartermaster. So again, technology, science, integrity, command. Make sense? Yeah. So, right. Now, we've put all of our eggs in one basket for this character, I feel, because we have put science and technology in both in an archetype, but that's fine. That may just mean that he is a far better technologist than anything else. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make that split, I think. Stumbled into it. We get 3 here. I think we'll say pilot, knows how to drive pretty effectively too. And maybe a decent teacher, always related to the students well. Then we've got toy maker. Toy maker, well, less, not invested in it terribly, but let's go for enigmas. I think enigmas are going to appeal to this character. And we will put the last one in larceny. Now, that's not all. These aren't the only skill points this character gets. In the end, you will get 15 skill points. We've just spent 12, or not 12, we've just spent 9 across our path skills. So that means we now get 6 skills that we can spread anywhere we like. They could be in path skills, they could be in any other skills. I like to specialise my characters. I find that it makes characters more interesting for me to play than being all-rounders. I don't really care for security in characters. I either prefer them to succeed well at things they're good at and fail badly at things they're bad at. That makes for drama for me. So let's do that now, shall we? Let's bump up some of the things we know we're going to be good at. 1, 2, 3, 4... 5 and 6. Oh, well, that was easy, wasn't it? That may be making him a little impersonal. No, you know what? I think I'm going to stick to that. I am going to stick to this. Looking quite bookish, a bit meek, definitely not commanding, but quite the skilled thief when he needs to be. Definitely a skilled gadgeteer. And can drive a car with the best of them too. So, yeah. Now, we've done our skills. So, in the meantime, more people have tuned in. So, once again, They Came From Classified character is being created because there's a Kickstarter currently ongoing for They Came From Classified. We are currently on 390 backers. While I'm doing this stream, I want to see that number go up. So if you have just tuned in, please click the link below. And even if you back the Kickstarter for only $5 just to see the manuscript, which you can access for $5, I very much appreciate it. Obviously, if you back for the whole book of Classified or Cyclops' Cave, or both, they're both on the Kickstarter, but you can do one or the other, or both, that means even more. But, you know, if I get to see that number going up while this video is going on, you have no idea what that means to me. Travis Legg reliably informs me it's gone up to 391. So we have already gained 4 backers just because I've decided to stay up late tonight and make a character. This is what happens. This is what happens when I get in from gaming tonight and decide I'll make a video late at night to appeal to the American audience. So now we get onto attributes. Attributes are part of the character creation process, where that, of course, it's a necessary part of character creation because we need something to pair with our skills, just like James Bond needs something to pair with a good wine, maybe a cheese or a charcuterie board. We need attributes too. And just as in all the other storytelling games you'll be familiar with, there's a story path. You do skill plus attribute and roll that many dice. You want to get 8s and above, and those are your successes. I I'm not trying to appeal to you, Thea, but I mean, I seem to be going with every single one of your ideas, but you need to get in touch with me because all of your ideas so far have been fantastic, and I think this quartermaster is going to be a woman, is going to be a lady professor. So we'll just have to remember that. She was a disgraced university professor who accidentally let loose a gadget on the student populace. She became a quartermaster. She stumbled into it, and now she is deep undercover as a toy maker, presumably to rumble some kind of deep cybernaut-like experiment in the Avengers. All right, so anyway, attributes. You have 9 attributes. You've got 3 in the physical arena, 3 in the mental, 3 in the social, and they have different approaches: force, finesse, and resilience. You can see them on the sheet there. Every single character starts with a single dot in every single attribute. You distribute 6 among a character's primary arena, 4 among the secondary, 2 among the tertiary. So I think it makes sense that mental is the primary one here, don't you? So I'm thinking this spread. Yeah, that works for me. Intellect, definitely. Cunning, probably low. I don't think she's necessarily quick-witted, hence the gadgets being let loose across the faculty or across the student body. So let's go for... Shall we go? We've already ascertained she is not a physical character. So I'm going to go for... Yeah, manipulation. We know she's a half-decent liar. We'll do 4 there. And we've got 2 to spread here. Well, she's got to get away from these things. And I think... Stamina or might... Maybe she's inhaled a few of her experiment's fumes a few too many times. Now, characters also have a favoured approach. You may be thinking these attributes look very low. Not for long they don't, because every character has a favoured approach. In this case, our character either favours force, finesse, or resilience. Hello, Keegan Sullivan. And radioactive atomic energy lab kit is actually very, very accurate for this kind of quartermaster. So, do we think this character is forceful, based on finesse, or resilience? Because whichever one we go for, each of these attributes will gain a dot. So, you tell me, viewers. Now, while you're thinking of that response, once again, let's see how many backers we now have on our Kickstarter, because as we know, we are updating live as this Kickstarter goes on. We are up to 391, so Travis Legg was telling the truth. Not that I ever doubted it, Travis. I never doubted it. We're up to 391. Wow, that really does make me smile. Now, while I'm looking at this page, I'm going to fixedly look at this Kickstarter page, and I'm going to Uri Geller will this to go up to 392. See if I have the psychic powers remaining from when I wrote They Came From Beyond the Grave and developed the mystic archetype into being. What this means, viewers, is if one of you hasn't backed They Came From Classified or They Came From the Cyclops' Cave right now, the link is right below. Let's see if one of you can make that up to 392. Or maybe my psychic powers are too strong and they'll spill over 392 and go up to 393. Wouldn't that be a trick? Wouldn't that be an expression of will? Am I capable of it? I don't know. I'm talking this long because this is how long it might take you to click and click and click and decide that you're actually going to back this Kickstarter. But I promise you that if you do, you will be rewarded, not just in the afterlife, but also in this one, because They Came From games are always fantastic. They're always entertaining. I make sure of it. The teams that work on them are wonderful. I put an awful lot of effort into them, and the artwork is beautiful. You will not find more entertaining role-playing games than these ones. They are designed to be fun at the table, and I am genuinely asking you right now, the more backers we get, the more successful this project is, the more books we get to make. It's as simple as that. It's a simple transaction. You support our work, we get to do more of it. And it's not always easy being full-time role-playing game creator, but you know, it very much does depend on customers putting money down and buying the books you're making. You know, of course it does. So I'm asking, if you are watching this right now and you haven't backed They Came From yet, please do click the link below, go on the Kickstarter page, back, even if it's just for $5, so you can access the manuscript, read it at your leisure. You won't lose access to that. It really is appreciated. It goes a long way, and there you go. I've been rattling on for long enough now that it has actually gone up to 392. The psychic powers, it worked. It worked. Alright, so now that all that's done, did anyone actually come out and say what kind of approach this character should have? Once again, Thea jumps into the rescue, and I am once again saved by the Norwegians, who says resilience should be the approach. So let's go for resilience, shall we? Which means an extra dot in resolve, an extra dot in stamina, and an extra dot in composure. So there's an extra bit in character creation that you can choose to use, which is to add one additional dot to any one of these attributes, and it depends. It depends on whether your director is feeling generous, whether you want your character to be larger than life or a little more mundane. That one dot can be a big deciding factor. Oh, I'm sorry, I was not here. I mean, I think your name speaks for itself. I didn't see that you said resilience, but I now do. I apologise. I really do apologise. As Andy Crane says in Deadwood, I apologise. They Came From the Western is something. One day we might do it. Once again, saved by the Norwegian. Should have been a cinematic, but not in The Thing, Barker, as we know. So, we have now assigned our skills. We've assigned our attributes. Aspirations are the kinds of things the player will assign, but I'm going to come up with a few short-term aspirations. These are the things I want to achieve in my first session, my short-term aspirations. I want to invent a new gadget. That's a nice, simple one. Short will be steal blueprints for another inventor's gadget. Long term is get reinstated at the university. Alright, there we go. So those are my aspirations. Connections. I'm not going to go into connections at this point. They are things that you usually agree with the group. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for my access connection. I'm going to make a... I think we have... In this case, it's access, organisation and contact. So... contact. There's still the remnants of the last character I made. And organisation. Yeah. So you have connections based on your paths. Let's look at it from... Let's look at each of these paths, and we'll take one for each path, shall we? So I think because of the university side of things, this kind of rolls into the stumbled into it. I think she has access to a university laboratory. Makes sense. Keegan was pointing out, I let them pick connections in the game as they figure out the feel of their character. I do the same for the most part. Connections are quite fluid. You get to roll your connections based on the strength of the path they're linked to, which is really good fun because you'll roll your path rating plus whatever skill you're using, and that is how effective your connection has been. It's like a mechanized version of the contacts or allies system in World of Darkness, in a sense. So this is going to be origin. I think the contact can be... Let's go for a contact in the toy making industry. Oh, a former colleague says I was not here. Well, okay, let's go for another origin one, shall we? So we'll say head of science at the university. Yeah. Sorry for the very loud typing, by the way. And organisation. Organisation, we could go for the agency that has hired her, although I feel like she is still quite new. I don't think she can rely on the agency too much. Given she's got such a desire or such a skill when it comes to driving, I'm thinking the organisation could maybe be a motor association or something that from which she can occasionally hire or steal a really snazzy sports car. Again, this is 1960s, 70s. This is an Emma Peel character who also happens to be a quartermaster. So perfectly legitimate, skilled in the lab as well as behind the wheel. So I'm going to go for the motor club. And I'm going to put this down as... I think we will put that as origin. So far, all of the connections are origin linked. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. And in terms of her field, I'm going to assume she was a design and technology professor at the university. I think that's fair. So, trademarks. All characters start with trademarks. You can basically have up to 4 trademarks, if I recall. I don't know why I'm pulling that out of my hat. Oh, no, I think it might be 3 trademarks at the very beginning of the game. I should probably know this. This is where I do actually prefer to have the book in front of me rather than the Word document, but this is something that, let's see. Oh no, it's 4 trademarks. I was right the first time. Thought I was. Leather driver gloves. I was not here, of course. So, yes. What is a trademark? A trademark is like a speciality. It's something that you will link. It tends to be to a skill. You can link it to an attribute, but I prefer to link it to archetype, origin, and cover skills. So you usually do 2 for archetype, 1 for origin, 1 for cover. You don't have to be strict like that. The book actually allows you to choose anything you want, but I like to focus in on what I've made of the character already. So, for instance, I'm going to go for a pilot trademark, and when you come up with trademarks, it doesn't have to be a single word like a speciality in other storytelling games. It's usually a phrase. So, for instance, pilot is going to be run the red light. So, if basically... the trademark is going to be whenever someone is trying to stop her, she is fantastic at speeding away, outrunning them, perhaps. I'm going to go for technology. And I'm going to say underfunded once again. Now, what does that mean? Well, I'm saying that that trademark is having had to live on a university wage and probably with a low-stocked laboratory. She's very good at scraping things together to make her tech work. Oh, and Thea has come up with another good one. Again, Thea, if you're wanting to get into this industry, you really should be getting in touch with me. There's a lot of good ideas coming out of Norway right now. Alright, Thea, well, it's your job then. If you can think of an idea, let's go for another one of these skills. We'll go for one that's not linked to the archetype, shall we? Pilot was linked to origin, so let's go for science, or... No, let's go for science. Wandering Eye. I was not here. There we go. We're going to go for larceny. Let's see... a juicy little blueprint. Thank you, I was not here. I follow a lot of people on Twitter. No, I misspelled blueprint. You wouldn't know I was a writer for a living, would you? Okay, so let's go for one last one. We'll go for science. And I think we will go with Thea's idea of there's always a way to fix things, but I'm going to change it a little because it's science. There's always a logical answer. Alright. So, we'll get on to quips momentarily. Now we're on to tropes. Tropes are the special powers. My favourite part, my favourite unsung part of They Came From is tropes. And one of the reasons I absolutely love tropes in They Came From is the sheer number of them. It's something we don't sing the praises of enough. But I mentioned this in my interview with Travis Legg last night on the Onyx Path Twitch channel. Hi, Travis. That characters, well, not just characters have a ridiculous number of options in They Came From. Because in Beneath the Sea, you've got 5 archetypes. In Beyond the Grave, you've got 13 archetypes, plus any across tasty bits. And when I say 13, that's because you've got 5 in Beyond the Grave, you've got 5 in Camp Murder Lake, and you've got 3 in Heroes in a World of Horror. In Classified, you've got 5. In Cyclops Cave, you've got 6. With all of these, you have unique tropes for every single archetype. And yet, you can choose tropes from other archetypes for your characters. You are supposed to choose 2 for your archetype, 1 from anywhere else. And because these games cross over so well, there's no rule conflict, you can just pull archetypes that feel fun. And so you end up with a power list that, well, it may not rival Exalted just yet, but it's pretty extensive. So let's look at tropes for the Quartermaster. What options do we have? I'm going to read through some of these. If you are on the Kickstarter already, you will have been able to review the character creation chapter for They Came From Classified. I believe we have already released that, or the archetypes certainly. And the archetypes do list the tropes, but I'm going to read some of the tropes out for the Quartermaster, see if any of them grab you. So we have Answer to Everything. Enemy enterprises underestimate your diverse array of skills in covert operations and mechanical engineering. Once per story, disable or disrupt enemy equipment up to a medium range away, explaining the malfunction as the result of one of your many gadgets or connections. So yeah, tropes are narrative primarily. Big dazzling words. When the simple phrases run dry, you crack open the complex lingo reserved for scientists. Once per story, declare a character to be a robot or clone, or make any other comparable unbelievable accusation, and others trust your judgment regardless of evidence to the contrary. That's actually a lot of fun. I like big dazzling words. The briefcase. You have in your possession a briefcase, golf bag, glove compartment, or locker at Grand Central Station, packed with improvisational goodies. Roll enigmas plus cunning when an uninvited guest attempts to open the case. For each success, a hidden weapon, explosive trap, venomous arachnid, or other hidden accessory is unleashed on the intruders. There are lots of these, lots of tropes. I'm going to get to the next one because this one feels very appropriate for this character. The car. The agency spares no expense for an agent's ride, ensuring it's fully loaded with rockets, oil slick, tyre caltrops, bulletproof windscreens, and anything else the director deems appropriate. Once per story, take a scene to present such a car, boat, plane, or helicopter. Well, we are definitely taking the car. And I'm very tempted. There are more. I'm not going to read every single one of them because there are a lot. But yeah, Answer to Everything really works. So Barker, you favour the Aston Martin over the Lotus? I guess a lot of people go for the Aston Martin. It is the classic Bond car, but he's had several nice. I didn't think much of what was on show in No Time to Die, honestly, but that's a story for another day. Now, we have 2 tropes that are linked to Quartermaster, but as always, we will pick a trope from another archetype now. And I'm going to choose one at random, one that I think might be fun. I'm going to go to the Detective archetype, and I'm going to go for... let's think. My favourite. One more thing. It's the Columbo trope. You've a way of piecing together complex conspiracies at the last possible moment. Once per story, when you feel a character isn't being entirely forthright with you, choose or invent an article of damning evidence against them. This either provides you with a +2 enhancement on implicating or interrogating them, or gives them a level 2 complication to outmaneuver the evidence you've presented. So I'm going to go for one more thing. Right, so finally, we have our quips. So let me open up that document, and we will have a look at some of the quips that are available to this particular archetype. So we already know what quips are like, of course, in They Came From. They're sometimes silly, sometimes incongruous, sometimes utterly appropriate, but always entertaining. That's the plan, anyway. And the quips for our quartermaster. I'm going to ask you people, you viewers right now, one thing. First of all, we're on 392 backers now, so it has gone up. So 393 backers, so okay, this is working. We may actually reach 400 while the stream is going on. I don't think we'll quite get there, but I would love it if we did. So while I'm talking, there's two things I need from you. One is if you haven't backed the They Came From Classified and Cyclops' Cave Kickstarter yet, remember you can back for one book, you can back for 2 books, or you can back for both books, or you can back for $5 and read both manuscripts. Do so, because this is partly what this is in aid of. We're all very, very happy with this book, and we would love to be able to fund more books in this line, and that takes you supporting the Kickstarter for us to do so. So if you haven't clicked that link down there and supported it for any amount of money you want, any kind of backing you can give us is appreciated. The next is I need you folks to pick a number from 1 to 30. 1 to 30. So you can post in the chat what that is. I'm only going to need 3 such numbers. So the first 3 people to pick 3 unique numbers between them are going to pick the quips for this character. So I would love to see the number of backers shoot up from 393 while this is going on. Right, oh wow, okay. We've got 29, 27, 22. Okay, that's it. Yep. Everyone just throwing numbers at me now. Right. So, we've got 29. 29 is... And let's see whether you like these. Oh, that only scratches the surface. I like that. I feel like that's got a bit of a double meaning to it, don't you? And after 29, we had 27. Oh, this one's a bit catty. If you did your job properly, I wouldn't have to do mine. Okay. And our last one was 22. Be careful. That's one of a kind. And those are our characters' quips. Now, you've all noted so many different numbers here. So there's, let's see what other ones what could we have won? Travis went for 22. We had that. Be careful, that's one of a kind. Barker went for 20. That's not what you think it is. Saria went for don't touch that. And we also had number 30 from Fangs. The possibilities are endless. K. McD went for 7. Everything can be made better with lasers. Everything. And so it goes. All of these really work for this character. Very happy with this character. Now we just need to come up with a name. A name that works for a protagonist. I know it's very easy to come up with a Bond girl kind of character with a name like Tits McGee, but that doesn't necessarily work for a protagonist, does it? So let's think of a character with a maybe slight innuendo to their name. One of the rogues in They Came From Classified, one of the villains, is called Licaracnal or Racnal. Now, this has a very rude meaning. In Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me, in the English version, the sidekick, the lady's name is Felicity Shagwell, which is pretty on the nose, but is just Felicity Shagwell. In the Norwegian and Danish version, it's Licaracnal, which my understanding is basically liquor raw fuck. So we decided to use that name in They Came From Classified, and we now have an enemy agent called Licaracnal. Okay, so we're getting lots of good character names now. Jane Block, that sounds like a villainess, Barker. That sounds like one of Blofeld's henchwomen. I Was Not There says her first name is Viara. Fang says Venus Dawn. Oh, Venus Dawn sounds like a good name, doesn't it? Memed of... Mehmet, Odd the Node, Felicitati. Travis says Sherry Headlights Fast Lane, really leaning into that racing. Velvet Tea Cake goes for the character name of Bilingual Bonus. I don't know if that's a character name, but I'm very tempted by it. My name is Bonus, Bilingual Bonus. So I'm, of all the names suggested here, I'm going to go for Venus Dawn. Venus Dawn, I think that really works. It's silly, but it works as a secret agent. And just like that, we have our quartermaster. For They Came From Classified, our character has been created. Right now, the number of backers on the They Came From Classified Kickstarter is at 393 still. My heart doth break, but it has been immensely gratifying to know that just by putting this video out there and engaging the viewers, that I've managed to convince some of you to back the project. I'm really grateful for that. I'm going to stick around for a bit longer, because if any of you haven't backed yet, say so in the chat, and maybe I can convince you to do so. If there's anything that is making you think, maybe this game isn't for me, say, what do you think is a hang-up? I promise I'm not going to take it personally, because one of the reasons we at Onyx Path, but also just myself, personally like to reach out to people is because I'm a role player. I want to know why people want to play games that they do, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy. So if you haven't backed They Came From Classified yet and may be interested in doing so, say so, and maybe I can help tip the scales in the favour of the game. I see everyone is right now dedicated to this character's name, like Belinda Bodacious Nugget, and Fatima Fastlane, Felicity Fastlane, Felicia Fastlane, but we're going for Venus Dawn. Venus Dawn is that's we're stuck with her now. And she probably will turn into a villain in the sequel, but that's what all good heroes should do. So as I say, we're currently on our 393 backers. If you want to back They Came From Classified, the link to do so is in the video description right beneath my face. And if you click on it, you can back for $5, get access to both manuscripts for Classified and Cyclops' Cave just for $5, or you can back for Classified, or you can back for Cyclops' Cave, or you can back for both. You can back at electronic level, get PDFs, you can back at hard copy level and get copies like that copy of Beyond the Grave beside me, or Beneath the Sea beside me. So, lots of options there. Well, I'm guessing by the fact that either no one is admitting to the fact that they haven't backed, or you have all backed. that I can only say I appreciate it. I very much appreciate the fact that you have given my project, Onyx Paths project, your supports. It really does mean the world to me that you enjoy these games. And Mehmed, I'm going to guess that's your name. Then if you lack the funds currently, my suggestion to you, if you can do it before the end of this video, if you can, and no pressure, but if you can, back for $5. And the reason I'm telling you to back for $5, only for $5, is because you can change your mind later, and it will sign you up to the backer kit, which means you can always update it later and back for something more if you end up with a little more money later. So don't feel like not having much money excludes you. All you need to do is back for $5, and you can then access the entire manuscript for both books and enjoy them. And thank you very much to everyone who tuned in. Today's special guest viewer was Thea, because it seems she came up with most of the ideas for this character. And I'm now going to probably be sending this character sheet to her. But in the main, I just have to say thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Your support. There we go. We've got up to 394. I can rest easy. I am now, and I was not here, has just, that's all right. I see DP Balls is complaining that you just missed this. It's all right, DP. If all you do right now is click on that link below and give the Kickstarter your support, don't worry, because I'll be back next week for They Came from the Cyclops' Cave. Tune in then, and we will have another character creation session, and you can throw in even more ideas. You know, I still hold out hope. We might be able to get up to 400 by the end of the night. There may be people who tune in late and re-watch this. You did just tune in at the end of the stream. Where's everyone coming from all of a sudden? Adam R. Good God. DP Balls is unfortunately a very good name for They Came from Classified. DP, Adam, I know you're tuning in late. We are trying, by the end of this video stream, to get the number of backers up to 400 on the Kickstarter. So please, if you haven't backed the Kickstarter yet, please, for my sake, for my health, they're threatening to kill me. Just support the Kickstarter, even if it's only for $5. It really does mean the world to me. Anyway, I will stop with my begging. I will stop with my asking you. I have done enough of that tonight, and I should get some sleep, because there is work to be done. There is always work to be done on the morrow. And I have to say thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and good night.